Remakes and remasters are prevalent nowadays, taking classic games and remaking them into something entirely new, or remastering them where they look visually brilliant. So I decided to platinum 3 PlayStation remakes, the first being Crash Bandicoot, originally released in 1996. It was remastered into the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy that released in 2017, a challenging platformer with 23 trophies to unlock. We play as Crash, who finds himself a subject of experimentation by Dr. Neo Cortex to create an army for world domination, but it ends up in failure and Crash manages to escape. However, he must return to save his girlfriend Torna. If you've never played Crash Bandicoot, we have the world map filled with a variety of levels, from platforming, auto-running, and bosses. Our main goal in these levels is to reach the end while destroying every crate, as we'll be needing to do so for a future trophy. In addition, we'll have to speedrun all these levels for another. I ended up unlocking 2 trophies in the opener, one for spinning an enemy into another enemy twice, and then I had found 3 character tokens, which allowed me to enter the bonus round to break even more boxes. Eventually, I'd come across my first boss fight, Papu Papu, who was straightforward. Jump over his deadly swing, then jump onto his head to deal damage, and just like that, the trophy was mine. This would now unlock me Coco's time machine, which allows Crash's sister, Coco, to join our adventure, and by playing her, we can unlock another trophy by using her spin attack to defeat 5 enemies. Then would come Ripperoo, a boss that demands your patience, as he jumps in a set rhythm. Be careful though, as he can crush you. The only way to damage him is through the TNT crates that float downstream, which take a couple of seconds to explode. With only 3 hits to be done, another trophy would be mine. Next, I would play the Sunset Vista level, and find the 3 character tokens to unlock the bonus stage. I managed to carefully break every box while making sure I didn't get blown up by the TNT, and reaching the end, there was a key for me to pick up, unlocking a trophy. I would then meet Koala Kong. He throws gigantic boulders that we'll have to dodge and retaliate with, while making sure to miss the minecarts that conveniently protect him. And there's also falling TNT crates, because why not? After several tries, I defeat him for another trophy. Shortly after, I'd unlock another by missing a lot of crates in a level, and then die by an electrical shock. I then had to fight Pinstripe Potteroo, who like most bosses is relatively easy. We hide while he fires his gun, and when he needs to reload, we go in for the hit. Repeat several times, and we unlock a trophy. Throughout my playthrough, I have been making sure I destroy every crate in every possible level so far, as these unlock us gems, and by earning 13 of them, unlocks another trophy. Some of these gems are coloured. One I had earned was blue, and this would open a secret pathway in another level, and by taking it, unlocks me a hidden gem. In the same level, I also completed the bonus round for another key, then fought Dr. Nitrous Brio, who we saw at the very start of the game helping Cortex. He throws his chemical flask at us, summoning slimes. We jump onto them, causing them to explode back at him. Eventually, he gets angry and consumes the flask to become a monstrosity, crushing everything in his path, which causes parts of the ceiling to fall, allowing us to use them as a pedestal to jump on his head. And unfortunately, I ended up bottling it on the last hit. I then defeat him on the next attempt. As I make my way through Cortex's lab, I managed to earn 99 lives, and then fought him, who is probably the most anticlimactic final boss ever. He fires these plasma beams, dodge the purple ones, dodge the blue that enter our walking path, and reflect the green several times until he's defeated. We successfully saved Torna, but we were nowhere near the platinum trophy. I briefly mentioned the color gems and how they unlock secret pathways in other levels. This also applies to the keys I had acquired. This meant I needed to play those levels to break all the crates for more gems, and of course speedrun every level. However, getting every colored gem wasn't going to be easy, because some of them you need to beat the level while destroying every crate without dying. I got to work doing that and accidentally unlocked the I meant to do that trophy for spinning away an extra life. Are you kidding me? Oh, why did I even bother following? I should have just went to the underside. You know what, let me just play the rest of the level and see how far away I was from being it. Okay, yeah, I was literally right here. That's so awesome. The speedruns are known as relics. There's Sapphire, Gold, and Platinum. We'll be needing Gold or better for the trophies. Unsurprisingly, the first couple of levels to speedrun aren't too difficult, meaning I'd unlock 5 and 10 relics. I'd also get my last couple of gems for the ultimate gem path. Then came the pain of earning the relics in the latter levels. The difficulty would increase from the length to the depth perception of jumps. However, with patience, the trophy would eventually be mine. That's it. Practice makes perfect. Earn 26 relics, gold or better. Right, so there's one more trophy left before the platinum, and it's a relatively... I mean, it just is straight up easy. You just gotta die to one of these piranha plant. Could be coming up around the corner here, I think. Yeah, this guy. Feed me, die. And there we go. Crash Bandicoot Platinum Trophy. The next platinum was Final Fantasy VII Remake, released in 2020. Its original game was released back in 1997, a story-driven RPG with 54 trophies to unlock. We play as Cloud Strife, a former member of Shinra's elite soldier unit, now turned mercenary who lends his aid to the Avalanche Resistance Group to fight back against Shinra, a corporation controlling the planet's life force as Marco Energy. The story is split into 18 chapters with all their respective trophies. However, there will be a lot of miscellaneous and combat related ones to unlock throughout. Like I am introduced to the combat, that unlocks me 3 trophies. I won my first battle, learned how to exploit an enemy's weakness for more damage, and stagger an enemy. Then we end chapter 1 with defeating a giant mechanical scorpion. In chapter 2 we meet a flower peddler, then navigate through the city to escape and defeat a lot of guards, before we flee by train to meet back up with Avalanche. We unlock several trophies throughout chapter 3, as we're introduced to our next party member, Tifa, who was bound by an enemy's attack, and to free her, we defeated the enemy for another trophy. As I explored my way through town, I would end up finding 3 music discs, then complete my first side quest. There were several of these to do, and this led me to fighting some enemies, where I would level up an orb of materia and max out a weapon's proficiency. Throughout the game, we'll be finding unique weapons for every playable party member that comes with their own unique skill, and by using the skill repeatedly, it will max out its proficiency, meaning we can use it without being bound to that weapon. To conclude chapter 3, we become the top player at darts, before departing to help with another task. We can get a trophy during this bike section, but I ended up failing the challenge of keeping our health above a certain percentage. However, it doesn't really matter as we can get it later. Though I did get a trophy after being introduced to summons, powerful monsters that could be called into battle and fight alongside us. We conclude chapter 4 and make our way to Marco Reactor 5 by defeating another mechanical beast. In chapter 6, we end up stumbling into a room with several enemies to defeat in under a time frame. After doing so, it leads me to the Chocobo and Moogle materia, unlocking another trophy. After delving deeper into the reactor, we complete chapter 6. Throughout chapter 7, we discover Shinra will deploy a mech known as the Airbuster against us. Luckily, as we're going through their facility, we can weaken it. This takes parts of it to a locked room, which we can use as loot. So we bypass the security by operating these levers for a trophy. We manage to defeat the Airbuster, and Cloud finds himself split up from a group, concluding with another trophy. We then meet the flower peddler again called Arif and help her with a few things, such as picking flowers so we can decorate the leaf house with a floral arrangement. I also talk to this guy known as Chadley. He has missions available, and this one required me to defeat a summon in battle. I probably should have done this later, as I had to solo Shiva as Cloud, but luckily I could summon Ifrit for additional help and end it with a cross slash. Nice! Summon Slayer, defeat a summon in battle. I then participated in a game of Whack-a-Box, where the challenge is to, well, whack a box. Breaking them earns us points. Get enough in under the time limit unlocks another trophy. We conclude the chapter with Arif guiding us out of town to meet back up with the group. In chapter 9, we discover Tifa is going to meet someone known as Corneo, and Arif warns us about him. There is quite a lot to do to get to her, like fighting a house.
Enter the Hell House!
Huh? It's just a house.
It's no ordinary house. After successfully defeating it, we now have access to the rest of this Colosseum and its several fighting quests that will all need to be completed. By emerging victorious from one of them unlocks us returning champion. I then explored around the town and entered a gym where I got challenged to a duel in squats. To get to Tifa, we need to become a dance superstar to receive a gift from Andrea. This was a dress that unlocked us another trophy for obtaining free bridal candidate outfits. We'll be needing a total of 9 dresses for a future trophy. Back in chapter 3 when we completed the side quest, Tifa asked us to pick her an outfit which counts as 1. Then there are side quests tied in chapter 8 for Aerith and chapter 9 for Cloud. Depending on how many you do results in a specific dress. So we'll be using chapter select after we beat the game to get that trophy. Anyway, we tried to deal with Corneo, who does in fact find a way to turn it against us, concluding the chapter. Our next 3 trophies would all be story related for completing chapters 10 to 13, all with significant fights such as Abzu in the sewers, then the Gao and Elagor in the train graveyard, then on to Reno and Rude at the sector plate, and finally the failed experiment underground. Chapter 14 would mark our point of no return, meaning I needed to complete a few side objectives for several trophies. A new set of difficult whack-a-box challenges were available. This time I was challenged to a duel in pull-ups, which I managed to clinch in the last second.
How much training do you do? You are in the zone! You're better than I thought! I can't get enough of those beautiful
Oh my god, did I do it? He didn't pull up, did he?
You can do better than that.
Oh my
Much
god,
better.
45 to 44. Throughout our adventure, we sometimes met this guy called Johnny, and this happened to be the last time we witnessed him, which unlocks another trophy. Then, having completed all currently available side quests, I had found this letter on the ground, rewarding us a very useful piece of materia, and of course a trophy. To conclude chapter 14, we'd have a second encounter with Abzu and make our way to Shinra headquarters after discovering Aerith was taken. We then fought a gunship, the Valkyrie for chapter 15, and in chapter 16 we arrive at the headquarters to find the last music disc for all of them. To progress further, I was tasked in fighting in a combat simulator where I would use Tifa and her abilities to increase the stagger meter of an enemy to 300%. Now from chapters 16 to 18 there are a lot of boss fights, from the Specimen and the Genova Dreamweaver, to fighting Rufus alone as Cloud, then defeating the Arsenal with Barret and Aerith, before finally concluding the game with a fight against Sephiroth, unlocking us 3 more trophies. In addition, remember those weapon abilities? I had found most of them, but there's one that is easily missable during the fight against Elagor, as we need to equip the steel materia and use it until we eventually receive a weapon for Aerith. Eventually, I would learn them all for weapons experts. With the main story completed, I still had a hard mode playthrough to go through. However, I would need to prepare myself by leveling up my party and materia to become stronger. Eventually, I would attain level 50 with a character. I then decided to work on Chadley's battle intel reports. It is a long list of various things from assessing enemies, defeating summons, and mastering materia. The final one is to defeat Bahamut, where I used Tifa's increasing stagger abilities to destroy him for another trophy. Easy peasy, considering I max leveled max the materia. And there's our trophy, Intelligence Agent. However, I wasn't done with the combat just yet, as there were more to complete in the Shinra building, where I would defeat a Malboro. I also used the enemy skill materia during its bad breath ability to learn it, being the last one I needed for the Master of Mimicry trophy. I then took a detour with Chapter Select and went back to that motorcycle minigame, this time being successful, as well as completing all the quests. This is because a set of them can only be chosen during Chapter 9. Now, to prepare myself for the hard mode playthrough, as well as unlock another trophy, I needed to defeat the Pride and Joy prototype. Just like with Bahamut, staggering abilities proved too powerful for it, unlocking me a trophy, and the item that gives me limit break at the start of each fight, allowing for me to easily deal a huge chunk of damage. Having reached max level in materia, I could clear through hard mode with ease, equip the strongest element that the boss is weak to, and eventually after this incident, the trophy was mine. Where did my guy go? What? Where is he?
Watch yourself.
Barrett, can you deal with it? He got knocked up onto the top platform?
Get that system.
What is going on?
You scared us? You got this.
I got this.
Am I stuck?
Keep it together.
Let me handle this.
Cloud, can you thunder? We don't need to do it that much.
Calling lightning.
Okay, he does take damage.
Buzz off.
That was crazy. This limit ascension should be it. I realized I had no revival materia, but Sephiroth is defeated. It would be fitting to have this trophy pop for the platinum, but we still have one more to go. Yay, hardened veteran. No, the trophy left. Whatever. Yet I still had one more before the platinum, and that was to obtain all the dresses. Going back to Chapter Select and completing no quests, I got Aerith's final dress for the platinum. The final platinum of the video is Resident Evil 2. Originally released back in 1998, it was remade in 2019. A survival horror with 42 trophies to unlock. You are given a choice of two characters to play, Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, where the two meet but go through their own tied-in adventure in Raccoon City, while trying to survive and understand how a deadly virus has turned its citizens into flesh-eating zombies. Our first trophy was to simply make it to the police station. I would have to explore the station, solve puzzles as an injured officer managed to deduce a way out, and carefully decide if a zombie was worth killing with the limited ammo I had. The trophies would start to unlock rapidly, as I had found some wooden boards and used them to board up a window. In addition, the officer had given me a knife, which came in handy as I got grabbed by a zombie and used it as a counterattack. I then came across a note describing how I could combine herbs together to heighten their medical effects, and that's what I did for another trophy. To conserve some ammo, I ended up defeating an enemy with a knife. Shortly after, I came across a portable safe. It had several buttons, and if I pressed one, it would either be green or red, meaning I needed to press them in the green order. After trial and error, I managed to unlock it. I also unlocked my first dial safe, then customized my weapon by adding an attachment to it, and came across a very useful item known as the hip pouch, which increased my inventory slots. This is because we must manage our resources carefully, as we cannot just hoard everything. Sometimes if we combine attachments to our weapons, this increases their size, limiting our other options to carry ammo, healing, or key items. However, we will sometimes come across a storage box, allowing us to store them for the time being. An important thing in this game was making sure I was gathering every collectible I could find, and one of those was to shoot this Mr. Raccoon figure. As I delved deeper into the station, I came across a new enemy, known as the Licker, and to protect myself, I threw a flashbang at it, briefly stunning it. It proceeded to jump towards me, but I put it down with the shotgun, unlocking another trophy. I finally managed to get out of the police station by solving the goddess statue puzzle. This took me to an underground pathway where I fought the biggest monster so far. Then ended up in a car park where I got ambushed by a zombie dog, but thankfully a woman named Ada saved me. To unlock the gate to the car park, we needed a key card, and this guy Ben had one, but he met an unfortunate end. But we can still get that keycard after eventually finding some electronic parts to open his locked cell. Off I went to find the parts and unlock 2 trophies along the way. I managed to feed an enemy a grenade, then shoot it, and encountered the Tyrant, the thing that just crushed through the prison cell, and turns out shooting his hat off his head unlocks a trophy. This Tyrant can be anxiety inducing, as you can hear its footsteps as it patrols the area. It can even climb ladders and open doors. Oh, that's just awesome. I was successful in opening the cell and obtaining the key card. However, this caused all the other cells to open, which led to a mass of zombies being released, and I ended up using a grenade to kill 3 enemies at once to get out. Managed to escape with Ada, who details me her objective of finding Annette Birkin. Deciding to help, we go through the sewers where a rumored research lab is, and conveniently find Annette, who retaliates, leaving Leon injured. We play as Ada for a bit, and she has a unique trophy where we can only use her EMF visualizer, which is a hacking device, meaning we can't shoot the zombies that lurk around. Luckily, there was a save point nearby, as I noticed another Mr. Raccoon, which can only be shot, which means it voids the trophy. But by simply reloading the save, it remembers that Mr. Raccoon has been shot, and then I unlock the trophy for completing the segment as Ada. Returning to Leon, he goes to find Ada, but the only way to get to her is through a security lock, which requires several chess pieces found throughout the sewers. While doing this, I managed to open all the safes and locks in-game. I then had another encounter with the giant monster, which we dealt with by slapping it with a crane, unlocking me a trophy. Gotcha! Defeat stage 2G using the crane only once. We save Ada and we must take this cable cart to the research lab. However, I went back to the police station as I had found some roll of film that needed processing, which ended up revealing locations where secret items are, and upon finding them, it unlocks me a trophy. Then we took the cable cart for another. Throughout the research lab, I'd find my last hip pouch to maximize my inventory, and have an encounter with the Tyrant, who was mutated even further, successfully defeating it with 5 minutes left.
Where did this thing come from?
Then concluding Leon's story. Now it was time for Claire's playthrough, experiencing her story and meeting different people, gathering collectibles, and to save a little bit of time, I decided to combine another 2 trophies. That was for clearing the game without opening the item box and without a recovery item. Claire meets a girl called Sherry, who unfortunately gets abducted, and we play through a segment as her. I had to escape the room within 60 seconds. I pick up this toy and open it to reveal a puzzle block, which we place into this puzzle. Do a few rotations, which reveals an opening to some scissors, allowing me to cut through this material and escape for the trophy. We managed to somewhat escape the abductor, but unfortunately run into that monster, concluding her segment. Switching to Claire, we find Sherry and are ambushed yet again, then find ourselves in the sewers. After discovering Sherry is infected and Annette's daughter, we must find the antiviral agent in the research lab. We are successful, but the facility is about to enter lockdown in case the virus leaves the building. We progress the story further to the point of our next trophy, where we encounter the stage 4G. Luckily, I had found myself a minigun to easily decimate the monster with 4 minutes left, and that would unlock me 3 more trophies. One for completing Claire's story, the second without opening the item box, and finally without using a recovery item. We still had several more playthroughs, as we now had access to Leon and Claire's second run, which changes a few puzzles. These playthroughs have collectibles tied to them, but more importantly, we would see the true ending upon completing one of them. So, I would destroy all the Mr. Raccoons, witness the true ending, then read all the files. Now, I needed to complete Leon's and Claire's playthrough with an S rank on either standard or hardcore difficulty. If I do hardcore, I can save even more time by not having to do another run for a trophy, yet an S rank requires to beat the game in under a certain time. So I took standard difficulty as Claire, and it was going well until I reached the stage 3G boss fight. I had no healing items and was basically one-shot this entire fight, but with enough persistence I was able to overcome it and complete the run in 2 hours, unlocking me the trophies for completing Claire's story with an S rank and taking 14,000 steps or fewer. Now the thought of another 3 playthroughs was daunting, and 2 of those were a hardcore run, where enemies are stronger, there are no autosaves, and saving requires an ink ribbon, so if you die, you'll lose a lot of progress. This is where I decided to buy a microtransaction to make these upcoming trophies significantly easier. Perhaps I should have given them an attempt, but having already completed 4 playthroughs, I thought why not make my job easier in unlocking the platinum. Also, this isn't the first time I have bought a microtransaction to make a trophy easier. Anyway, the DLC grants us very powerful weapons like the rocket launcher with infinite ammo, which means we destroy everything. Literally everything.
You don't know what you're up against. I have a pretty damn good idea. Whatever you do, don't stop until
until it's finished. What Annette doesn't realize is that we have an infinite rocket launcher. Like, she's probably hearing the sounds of these rockets exploding, thinking, like, how does this person have this equipment? And there we go. So, I completed Leon's S rank, as well as Claire and Leon's hardcore playthrough. Now to conclude the platinum, I would have to play the extra mode known as the 4th Survivor. You are given limited ammo and must progress through the sewers all the way back to outside the police station. My first attempt didn't go well, but I got extremely lucky on my second. Race. And live. Okay, I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. Is this the end? Please? Finally! Grim Reaper. Complete the 4th Survivor extra mode. And there's the platinum trophy for Resident Evil 2.